Tonight, this is not your typical video game live stream. This is the Macism's alter ego, the Salty Artist, who I go by, I guess, on my Facebook page, my Facebook art page, Pinup Art. You even saw my artwork with the Salty Artist. And I do art as a side gig, as a side business, as a side hustle. And I've been doing it since 2010. You know, that's when I suppose took my, stuck my toe in the water, so to speak. And shoot, over the last, I guess, 11 years of being on the grind, being off the grind, back on the grind, trying some way to sustain the grind, I learned quite a few things about the art community, comic book business, met some pros, met wannabe pros, associated with a lot of wannabe pros, people who just do what they do, and actually young up-and-comers who are slowly making their name in the industry as far as the art game, aka either working as an illustrator, working in video games, either doing their web comics or webtoons, being an influencer, being one of those people who drew artists doing live stream, or just some people who just draw shit and post it on Instagram and got thousands of followers on Instagram, or people who just post art on the daily on Patreon, and that's how they get their money. There are people who are getting their money just doing art, and there's some people that I'm just gonna say it, who just throw shit up against the wall as creators and hope to profit off of it. And this didn't really become rampant that I started noticing till around 2014, 2015. Okay, this is new. Wow, she got a hella good tan. But yeah, till around 2014, 2015, especially if you're on social media, Facebook, like the Facebook indie community is probably the biggest passionate flag wavers ever. It kind of died down as far as the more passionate people in the flag waving, but that's because of Comic-Gate. Comic-Gate hit the comic book community really hard, but it also hit the indie community really hard. That kind of separated, kind of got rid of that whole kumbaya, everybody likes each other, everybody's supporting each other and stuff like that. But as far as my art background, I did go to school. I did about 2 years of art college. For financial reasons, had to drop out. Yes, I'm an art school dropout. It happens. But the 2 years that I was there, I got a lot of valuable knowledge. I got formally trained. I had enough college education to where, because I pretty much, I think, dropped out like halfway through my junior year. So by that school's guesstimation, probably by the end of my junior year or the middle of my junior year, I should have been already applying for companies for illustration jobs. Just basically off, the stuff I got. That's how the Academy of Art College pretty much trained you. By your third year, you should be already applying for jobs or working in the industry. That's how it was in the 90s, once you got that formal training. And so I think in probably another good, few months, I probably would have been applying for jobs. Sadly, my finances were tight. Living situation was kind of iffy at the moment. Some financial hardship. I made the choice to get out of school. That's not to say I can't go back, and get that paper, verifying I got a degree, which makes employers be like, okay, he got a degree, he got some shit, whatever. Make it easier to, more, easier for them to hire me. Oh, she got a funky tan. And so, but as far as that, I got my formal training, and right when I got out of school, they were phasing out the more traditional you know, illustration art departments. You know, they were transforming to digital. This was about the time when ants and those you know, those 3D Disney movies were coming out. And so our school had quite a few interns and people, you know, working on those movies. We had actually people at the Camera College who worked on those 3D, you know, movie features at the time when I was going there. And so, but luckily, I was at the last stages of, you know, learning. You know, I had painting classes, I had sculpture classes, I had 6-hour figure drawing classes. Yes, 6-hour figure drawing classes. First half was drawing, second half was sculpting. I actually had to buy hundreds of dollars worth of clay. Yeah, this school was hardcore. Just for your art supplies alone, you're spending like $1,000 just for the art supplies. So I was traditionally trained. You know, the school wasn't fully digital led. You know, I'm Generation X, so this was like the early 90s or the mid 90s when I got there. So skincare item. I thought I did purchase a skincare item. Jesus. And so I thought I knew everything coming out. I just wasn't good. I was not good. It's like looking over my other stuff. The one thing I like about my older stuff, you know, you have that fearlessness once you're coming out of art school. You know, you're passionate, you're fearless, but you're also reckless, and you're also kind of feeling yourself. You know, you are, you know, basically, you know, you're sipping your own Kool-Aid. You know, people are seeing you progress, you're seeing you get better, your family are telling you stuff is good. But luckily, what kind of not fed my ego too much is I had brutally honest friends. I have to admit, you know, throughout my life, I always had overly critical people in my circle, whether it's my family, you know, the people I choose as friends. It's like they'll be supportive, but they'll be supportive, but they're not gonna support bullshit. They're gonna be real with you. They're gonna be like, okay, well, we're gonna support you because we applaud your effort. But as soon as you talk to them about the work itself, they'll be like, nah, this is not good, or this kind of sucks, or you're not there, or you're not good enough, try something else. They were brutally honest. You know, my friend told me one time I drew a drawing of Sephiroth. He was like, never draw this character again. I swear to God, he told me that. But then, you know, I did it again. He was like, okay, you know, that's much better. That's an improvement. You know, I have brutally honest people I associate with. And so when I started into the art game, you know, I thought I was ahead of the curve, but actually I came in kind of behind, because everybody, you know, there's a lot of young people, very talented young people, and a lot of people were working with digital tools, and it's like, oh my God, don't get me started on digital tools. It makes things a whole lot easier. And if you're not traditionally trained, it will make you seem like traditionally trained. And if you are traditionally trained, it's going to make your work look professional. You're gonna be on a semi-pro level. Even if you had, you know, even if you have like a shred of art talent and creative talent and an eye for art, you know, an eye to illustrate, to draw, you're gonna put out some impressive work with digital tools. You just got to spend the hours and time finagling with the buttons and the sliders to make it work. Yeah, you are full with buttons and sliders. Don't give me shit. People are gonna be like, oh, you don't know. I say, no, I took a whole year of Photoshop class. So I know how to use the tools. I know what options to use, and I know, well, I use a fucking, what is that thing? Bamboo tablets or whatever, that shit to draw on. And it's like, yeah, that's good, but at the end of the day, you're still adjusting sliders as well. It's like half the time, it's like you're probably only spending like maybe a total of like maybe an hour of drawing. And then the next sliders and adjusting shit, changing shit, fixing shit. And don't get me wrong, you kind of do the same when you're drawing in general, but digital tools just cuts a lot of that time in half if you're used to it and know how to deal with the options. If you're used to drawing on a tablet, then yeah, it's going to make things a lot easier. You don't have to deal with paper and stuff like that. And so you got all these up and comers. So when I started getting out there, it's like I knew I needed to have my work in color. I had good advice before I jumped in. There was an older black gentleman at Fanime Convention in San Jose. I think it was back in 2010, 2011. He told me right off the bat, he was like, I said, what advice can you give me? He was like, be prepared to compete. And he was not lying. As much as many artists try to bury the competitive aspects of the art community, whether it's conventions, whatever art community in, the art game in general, you know, you got to compete for it. You got to fight for it. And I notice there's a lot of people, you know, on social media, very supportive, or they either really like your stuff, or they see you as an ally, so they support your stuff because they want to ally with you. But as soon as you go against something as soon as you say something that they don't agree with or they don't like, they will go back to hating you and hating on your shit. You're not going to find too many true friends in life in general, and especially not in the art community. You're either going to have, out of those thousands of people, or maybe 100 people you befriend in the art community who say I like your stuff or whatever, I'm going to tell you probably you'll be lucky if 20 of them stick around, are really your true friends and will support whatever you do, offer you advice, give you valid criticism, those type of, ride or die people. You're not going to have too many. It's like, because a lot of people are trying to use you, and your voice and your talent to boost their own. Like I had one dude who would just, without even my permission, just share his stuff and tag his stuff on my page. And it's like, and then one day, I think I was like in his group and I posted some of my art in his group. I don't know if he blocked it, but I think his wife deleted my stuff out of his group. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me you have the nerve to tag your shit and have it posted up on my personal Facebook page, and then as soon as I post some of my artwork in your group, which is a public group, which everybody else posts their shit in, you delete it. I posted 2 pieces of art. I said maybe this was a mistake. I posted another piece, it got cock blocked. They deleted it off the page. And so right after that, I just took him off my friends list. I got out of that group quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then don't let me get started with this one dude. He was commissioning me to draw some of his characters. I came to find out they were no longer his characters. He was working with other like creators and artists and writers before, and he kicked them out the project. And I don't know who stole whose characters, but he says they stole his characters. But not only that, if they did, they took his characters and they copyrighted, and they actually made a comic book without him. And yet he's going to have me draw his comic books of these characters who are already copyrighted by the people he said stole his idea. I don't know who stole who, but this was the story he told me. And then I came to find out that man was borderline homeless. He was borderline homeless, but he was charismatic enough to where, he had a job. He was sleeping on women's couches, and he somehow weaseled his way into a radio DJ position he somehow got a radio show. And it's like, what the fuck? And then I remember one time he brought in this other dude in on a project, and he tried to get us to sign some contract or whatever, some other shit. I'm reading the contract and I'm like, nah. I said, I tried to look this dude up. This other dude was fake too, saying, oh, I know somebody, I produce shit and all this other shit. And he was like another, people trying to hustle the art game. Trying to get into the art game to make some easy money, to make money off of other people. And it's like, oh my, why is this so bad? And there's so many different occasions where I caught people abusing Kickstarters to get you know, money from people, to use money or to find some way to get artists on board and saying, okay, if you pay this amount of money, we'll get this book published, and it'll help the cost, the web case cost. But no, these people were just scamming artists or whatever. Oops. Sorry about that. Scamming. Mic keeps falling out my ear. Keeps on scamming artists and stuff out of their money. And I'm like, what the hell is going on social media? What is going on? And it was nuts. But, you know, going back to the, you know, me going to conventions, you know, it was tough. You know, I knew I had an idea of, you know, how I want my art presented, you know, how I want my colors to be. Luckily, I had a buddy, you know, help me out. You know, he put a lot of his money up. He did invest in our venture together. We took huge losses early on, but at the time it was more about going out, getting the cons. But when the money started drying up, we were almost going at each other's throats. It was like, you know, my buddy, business partner, he likes to work on things on the cheap. And the thing about going to conventions, just like you got to spend money to make money, but he didn't want to really take too many risks, and he told me himself he really didn't want to take too many risks. So, you know, that told me he wasn't fully invested. He was invested enough to where he can make some money on the side and still enjoy the con experience at the same time. That's as far as he went. But since I was the one putting artwork on the line, and my reputation as an artist was on the line, you know, I felt more heavily emotional invested than he did. You know, and then we butted heads, but then, you know, I saw things from his point of view. So I'm like, well, if he's financially investing, you know, a lot of this money, and we're going out, you know, trying to profit off of what we're doing to get a return on his investment, you know, for him, you know, it was kind of a loss of both of us. Don't get me wrong, we had some pretty good conventions where we pulled in triple and quadruple what we put in, especially in my case, because I also take commissions on the side. I'll walk out of conventions, you know, quadruple as far as what I put on the table. And it's like, you know, commissions on the side, you know, even outside of conventions was paying, you know, some of my bills. And, you know, put food on the table, you know, and so on and so forth. And so, but I also noticed, you know, when you're out there actually grinding, when you have to put your money on the line, and you're trying to make a product that's really good to sell, to sustain that business, it is very, very hard, you know, very, very hard to do. And, but I keep telling people, when I spoke to people online, I said, you got to go out there and compete. But so many people don't want to really compete. You know, it's about there, you know, being like a true American and learn how to finagle the system where you can get the money in your pocket before you even put out work, you know, put out work. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who use Kickstarter as it was intended, but even then, the smart American choice would be is like, okay, why should I have this product sustain itself where I can use Kickstarter to basically cover the costs of all my comics moving forward? You know, instead of, you know, using Kickstarter to jumpstart my comic book business, saying, okay, I'm putting out this comic, this is the stuff I need to jumpstart, get this comic, you know, I'll have you invested, you know, basically the people who paying for it, you know, they get a copy. But maybe the Kickstarter's is to jumpstart that business so you can print more copies, get it in actual stores, you know, sell it that way, and so on and so forth. I thought that was the whole purpose of Kickstarter, but people are like, no, wait a minute. Whoever's putting in money in the Kickstarter, you know, I'm selling directly to the customer. So they kind of twisted around where you're selling directly to your, I guess, your constituents, your fans, and your customers. You know, you're asking the initial fee of $5 for like a digital comic or whatever, $10 for a comic book that should only cost like $3.99 because, you know, you got to ship it to them, you got to put on that cost. and all this other shit. Oh, you know, if you give us this much, I'll add in a t-shirt and a mug and some other shit. And it's going, all that money's going directly to you. And then depending on, you know, because some people, they'll put in all these incentives that'll cost way more, that'll soak up the actual profit margin of what you're bringing in. So let's just say, you know, you're asking for a goal of 5,000, you know, and then you get 14,000, and it's like, okay, what was that 5,000 for? Was that 5,000 just to publish the book to get in the stores, or just for the people who gave you like 5,000, you know, dollars just for them to get copies of your book to cover the cost to just get them the book or whatever? So I see a lot of people, you know, doing that. It's like nobody wants their products to sustain themselves. And it's like you got a lot of people who go on, they start to like YouTube channels and they'll brag about, you know, their success or whatever, how many stuff they're sold by, you know, how much money they made by Kickstarter. And it's like, I'm not trying to hate on people who do it. It's like, hey, that's your hustle, that's your hustle. You find success in doing it, you find yourself doing it. But I'm still going to be kind of critical of it, because it's like, why aren't you taking that money and investing it so the stuff that can sustain itself and you won't have to use Kickstarter? It's like, I thought that's what business was about. That's how business was about before Kickstarter. You know, you put out a product, you have invested capital to put out that product. Your goal is to sell that product to the point you create a business and it sustain itself, and you also profit off of it. That was the whole point of it. But, you know, you got a lot of creators these days, they're just happy to put a book out. If they make money off of it, that's great. Don't get me wrong, there are creators who got day jobs, they make most of their money, they're living off their day jobs. So if they make, you know, a bit of side money off their comics or side hustle, then that's just extra icing on the cake. You know, you got those creators that they just want to put shit out, you know, which is fine, you know, as a hobby. But when there's like big money getting made, like if you're making, you know, over 10 grand, people giving you over 10 grand to put shit out, then it's like, dude, that's basically a business. That's a business. They ain't a hobby. That's a business. You at that point you're making money where you can be paying rent. So it's like paying somebody else's rent, you know, paying your bills, you know, paying a car payment. It's you know, at that point you're running a business. That's no longer a side hustle. You know, that's not what it is. And the time you got to, but the funny thing is, you got these creators, they're not really artists. It's like they'll have like a simple script out, and then they'll pay out an artist and they'll get money, you know, to pay out a cover artist to draw the cover, which really pisses me off. We don't have artists who draw the cover draw interiors no more, or vice versa. It's like they'll hire a really good cover artist and they'll have some shitty or mediocre artist draw the interiors on their book. Don't get me wrong, we got so many people from like, you know, the Philippines and South America and some backwoods European country who you only got to pay like pennies on the dollar to do fully penciled and inked work. So, like I said, it's the American thing. It's an American thing to do things on the cheap and fully profit off of it. You know, it is what it is. And so that's what I see in a lot of creators doing in the indie comic scene, especially the ones who are not drawing the books. It's like the ones who are not drawing the books are doing the most bragging, and the ones who are drawing the books, you know, and actually, you know, putting the time in terms of the drawing, and they're pretty much drawing at a loss too. They're drawing at a loss. Because you're getting paid off the profits of the book, not off of the work into going into the book. You're getting paid off the profits off the book, you know, itself. You know, as an illustrator, I could see if I was doing the cover, yeah, then you're getting paid off the work itself. But if you're self-publishing or doing your own book, nah, you know, the money is coming off the book. You know, you're charging like $5 or $6 for the book. And that doesn't cover the cost of the art that you put into it. So if you sold, like, you would have to sell, how many copies? at least 100 copies or more of your comic just to cover the cost of the work you put into it if you're the artist and create, you know, the writer slash artist of your own book. And that's just on a mediocre, you know, artist level. That's basically, you know, you drawing 24 pages and that's less than like $100 you're getting paid to draw per page. So it's like, that's why when one of the dudes, you know, he came into my things like, you should do your own book. See, he's talking from a creator's perspective. You know, he doesn't draw his book. You know, he's not the one coloring it. He's not the one busting those hours, you know, making that book being made into a book, making those characters come into life. So it's easy for him to say, just do a book. And it's like, no, from an artist's perspective, no, that's hours. That's blood, sweat, and tears. That's 12 hours on your drawing table. that is a lot of work. And you put that shit out, and if it don't make money, if you don't sell it, then you worked at a loss. That's a loss. Yeah, that's a loss. No matter how you look at it, because even with me, just when I do like fan art and pinups, I draw it, and I would have to, even if it's like, you combine that with my time spent drawing it and then inking it, and then what I have to pay to have another colorist pay for it, I would price my work like per piece, and the money spent in it, I would say between $150 to $300 per piece, per fan art piece. Now, once it becomes a print, you know, I charge maybe $7 or $8 for 8.5 by 11, maybe between 14 to 20 for, you know, 11 by 17. And it's like, I would have to sell, like, if I price it at 20 by 11 by 17s, I would have to sell, how many? Like 15 prints to cover the cost of one fan art that I did, to cover the time and money that I did the original art. Yes, I would have to sell 15 of my 11 by 20 prints to cover the cost of just the artwork, of just the time being put in. So if you're doing a comic, it's a lot more. That's why a lot of people who do it, if they draw their own shit, it's a labor of love, because it's passion. It's, you know, you just want to get something out. You want people to see it. You want people to like it. But the real world ain't fair. People see your shit, they'll probably think it's the shittiest crap on paper ever, and that's something you will have to accept. You know, people don't buy it. That's something you're gonna have to accept. That's a lot of shit you pay for that you didn't cover the cost of. And, you know, that's where the competition comes in, and the lack thereof. You know, Kickstarter eliminates the competition. You know, like, I think I watched a great video by Person. The reason why I did this video, because he talked about how easy it is to get into comics. I'm like, it is easy. It's butt crack easy. I said, but that's because it's easy because not many people fear the competition no more. There's no real competition, because with Kickstarter, Patreon, is so many ways to make money. Oh my God, why you keep, when you set the ball at the net, there's so many ways to make money doing not as much work. That's just how it is. You can make so much money doing not as much work now. It's like, you know how many artists I know on Instagram who just draw, like, maybe to them, maybe a 10, 15 minute, 20 minute sketch a day. They'll get 3,500 to 7,000 likes. And then, you know, they link it to their Patreon to see their more naughtier stuff. And they'll just post their art off of Instagram or whatever, and they'll have like 50 to 60 patrons paying, you know, $5 a month. And you're like, shit, you know, you're getting $700 to $600 a month for maybe 20 or 30 minutes out of your day. And, you know, you got to be talented, you got to be likable to pull in that kind of audience, and you got to be consistent. And but it's weird how it's worked. You know, there's some people who are just anointed, there's some people who just like there's a lot of intangibles that go into the light game that determines your success. And you know, Perch said it's easy to get into comics, but just because you can doesn't mean you should, or it doesn't mean you will be successful at it when you get into it. Because there's a lot of intangibles, and you also, when you do get into it, you gotta do it right. If you do it right or don't do it at all, that is my opinion of it. You know, that's what's missing, to be honest. Perfect example was this one YouTuber called Dame Drops. He's pretty much a food reviewer, a fast food reviewer at that. But he invested in a lot, you know, he's doing a lot of investing in running like shoe shops, his own restaurant, having people run their own restaurant, helping people become their own foodie influencer. Then one day he dropped a ball cell saying he's putting out a comic book. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this foodie, this fucking food reviewer putting out a comic book? All you need is money. All you need is money. As a creator, you just have to have money, have an idea, and you can hire writers and artists to draw your shit. That's all you need. That's why it's so easy to put out a comic book these days. That's what makes it easy, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. It really is. It's like everybody's like, you should do a comic. You should do a comic. You know, they tell me that, and I tell you, it's not that easy. It's like I haven't even mastered my basic, you know, side hustle of doing pinup art and making that, you know, consistent. I haven't became a big name doing pinup art yet. And it's like I got a couple of you know, buddies, you know, who end up working for Marvel, and then I got one female friend artist. She's off in Italy. And she's just been on her grind like the past 4 or 5 years, doing very, you know, sexy, you know, pinup art. She's a really good artist, and she does her work all traditional, you know, pen and ink. She's really, really good. And then she got a contract to, you know, do covers for Boom Comics. You know, she might be the next Peach Momoko. Speaking of Peach Momoko, Peach Momoko is an artist from Japan, and over the past year, like 2020 was her year, because I think she did half the covers in the comic book industry as a whole. Everybody named Mama just commissioned her to do covers. And it's probably the most consistent cover work I've seen in my life. It's like, you know, you're going to have your J. Scott Campbells, you're going to have your Adam Hughes, you're going to have your Art Germs, so you know exactly what you're getting once you hear your name. Along comes Peach Momoko, and all her covers are all over the place. There are some that are really good, some that are meh, some that are like, what the fuck were you thinking? But she took on any art gigs, you know, thrown at her, to where, you know, she was just almost a household name all of 2020. It was ridiculous. I am not gonna lie, it was ridiculous. And I just got tired of hearing about her. I did. I was almost coming off as a hater of this girl. I don't hate her. I admire her hustle. She is talented. I did pick up her Demon Days book, which she fully illustrated. I'm like, everybody's like, oh, she's a comic book artist. I'm like, she ain't a comic book artist until she draws some actual comic books. Lo and behold, she started drawing some comic books. So I'm like, okay. Nice. Yeah, okay, now you're a comic book artist. Okay, I'm proud of you. So it's like, you know, she did her thing. She put out a comic book. I think she's, I don't know if she's finished. I know she's supposed to be working on issue 2 or some shit. But, yeah, I'm happy that she actually did some comic book work. So I'm pretty, dang, I forgot what's her name's favorite color. Dang, I think it was orange. No, that's Momiji. No, that's Kokoros. Okay, it's black. I'm tripping. Fire that. No, I don't want to gift wrap that. Give me that. Buy as many swimsuits as I can for this vacation ends. And so I'm trying to get to that level where I get hired by big companies just to draw covers. That's my end game. I don't want to draw. It's like based on what the comic industry is now and how it's all jacked up and the characters are not the characters and everything's jacked up and people hate each other and agendas, social agendas and all that bullshit and politics. I don't want to draw comics. Shoot, just commission me to draw covers. It's like that was my end game when I went to college to draw comics, but you know, the industry right now is a hot mess. The industry is on life support. I don't want to get into that bullshit. F that. It's like I'll put out my own comic. And if I do, I'll probably do it out of pocket because I don't got the followers, I don't got the influence, I don't got the supporters where people are just gonna throw me money on Kickstarter to put out my own shit. I'm being straight up honest. I don't have that type of clout. I'm not that fake. I'm too salty. I'm too real for people to just throw money at me. I'm not charismatic. I'm not fake enough on camera. I'm nasally through the mic. I don't have a good voice. So I'm not gonna draw in. It's like I do get people. It's like people like when I pop off when I'm writing. But people don't want to hear me talk. They like reading the shit that I pop off about. That's why I said I wish I started out in the blogging game early and came off as a blogger. I think I could still be a blogger. But as far as doing, you know, podcasts, I could probably do podcasts. But because I generated quite a bit of hate, quite a bit of a small notorious reputation online to where I got kicked out of so many art groups that people they kind of know who I am on Facebook to a small extent, which is mind-boggling that even my haters were on my friends list, which is funny. I do still got spies to this day, and then a good chunk of the people who follow me are no longer active on Facebook anymore. So, you know, time goes on, time changes. There's still people, you know, doing the art thing. I still got old enemies. I try to join a group that I got kicked out of back in like 2014, 2015. They still won't allow me in that group. I was too real for the owner there. I called him out on this bullshit. He tried to do some underhanded shit in the group. And, what happened? Did she return my shit? I wasn't paying attention. Too busy talking. And then I turned up that he tried to do somebody else I knew, some other artists, you know, on Facebook, try to do them dirty. And I was like, okay, this guy, he never changed. He's just petty as fuck. He's petty as fuck, and he's just pushing his own brand. That's what I noticed. There's so many fake ass people. There's so many fake people in the indie comic scene on Facebook. There is like I have so many bad experiences with so many fake ass people. It's not even funny. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. It did. Don't get me wrong, there are some genuine, you know, good people, but it's a dime a dozen. Why does she like dumbbells? They changed the likes and dislikes of all the girls in this game. And I know they did that on purpose, but her liking dumbbells does not make any fucking sense in my opinion. That's my opinion. Eat the chocolate, even though she's indifferent to it, because it probably makes her break out like chocolate does to me. Ooh, I can do a pose thing. Let's see how this goes. There, Helena. Can I be the camera? I can't do the camera? What? Maybe I'll learn about that later. Last day of the vacation on here. like I said, there's so many petty people in the indie comic scene. That's not to say there's genuine people, but there's so many snakes. There's so many wannabe hustlers. There's so many people who just want that instant gratification and instant fame that nobody really wants to work to build a brand anymore. They just want to just put shit out. Put shit out and basically, I guess, hope they get rich off of it. That's the only way I can describe it, because you only need to pull in one big score. You don't need to pull in one big score or suckle somebody to give you money, and then you just put out shit, and then you can brag about you did something, and then you'll be like, now you'll be resting your reputation just on that, you know, bullshit for, you know, a long time, you know, down the line. So it's like, it's just nuts, kind of stupid. It's just dumb on so many occasions of how you know, these things play out in the art community. It's funny because everybody's like, I remember I had a discussion with one of my art buddies a while back. He was like, "Who hurts you? You know, why you only focus on the bad?" I said, "Cause none of y'all look at the real. None of you guys look at the bad. You stick your head in the sand over the bad." I said, "You guys don't notice your own bullshit." That's what got me. Is like they don't notice their own bullshit. I could see if you know, they still, if they notice their own bullshit, they'd be like, yeah, it is what it is, Mac. Just enjoy it for what it is. We know what you're talking about. It's fine. We agree. It is what it is. But they don't want to own it. They get super defensive about it. That's what bugs me the most. They get super defensive to the point it's like, damn. Like you discovered their hidden secret. Like they've been hiding this conspiracy and you figured it out. And it's sort of like, you know, when the Scooby Gang catch the bad guy and they're like, oh, and I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. That's how these people react. You know, when I talk about their bullshit openly to them, I know, granted, people don't like to have their bullshit thrown in their face, but the fact that they lose their shit when you bring it up is what, you know, surprises me the most. It's like, damn, what happened? What did I do? It's like, I thought you realized this. I thought you knew that this was bullshit. But they don't realize it's bullshit. It's weird. It's it's surprising. It throws you off because it's like, wow, you didn't know that this was bullshit. No, why are you being so mean? You're being hateful. You're just being a hater. It's like, I'm not being a hater from exposing your bullshit. It's like, it is what it is. It's like, that's just bullshit. But, you know, I guess they never had nobody tell them it was bullshit. You know, you'll get to that stage. You do meet some delusional people. And it's like, luckily in life, like I said, going back to having highly critical people in my life, where it's like, even when I did something good, they were overly critical of it. That's why I'm I'm my own worst critic, because I'm always thinking, okay, what is everybody gonna think about it? I'll see how my critical friends are gonna think about it. It got to the point where my critical friends, they know that when they criticize my stuff, they better be on point with their criticism, because I will criticize their criticism. That's like I said, but they made me this way. They did. They made me this way. It's like they know now where it's like, okay, if I criticize this, I better be on point, because Monty will criticize my criticism if I'm just mouthing off bullshit, or if my criticism is based on subjective or something I just don't like, and not based around actual, you know, factual criticism. So yeah. But yeah, the art game so far is treacherous. I am getting back on the ground. I got some new pieces I gotta finish. I gotta call up a buddy, see if we can get a table at this convention that's happening in June. Cause I just want to get out the house. You know, I want to also get some projects done to where have some new prints, because we've been selling the same old prints for the past, you know, 5 or 6 years. Don't get me wrong, some are like really good sellers. They sell well anyway. To where it's like, you know, that those characters in that art is just, my name is synonymous with. It's got to the point where I watch a few YouTube videos of people who are from my area or from, you know, the Bay Area, California, who actually, I can see my artwork in the background, you know, either in their action figure cases or on their wall. And it shocks me. It's like, wait, I'll watch a random YouTube video and I'll see my art in it. So it's like all that I have done hasn't been for nothing. It's like, you know, my stuff is, people have bought my stuff. It has been out in the open. I have had some of my stuff published to where I have my name out there, even though I'm not known. You know, it's out there. You know, I've been blessed. I have put in the work. I have put in the ground to get some of my stuff, you know, out there, out in the public eyes. You know, I have gained some form of a following. I still get people liking and, you know, my stuff, you know, on DeviantArt and whatever. You know, I haven't been as active as posting my stuff on Facebook, and I think I lost kind of that audience on Facebook. I used to get commissions, not so much anymore on Facebook, and there's some commissions I still haven't finished that I still owe people. And I gotta get back on that grind. And it's tough, you know, because I get that self-doubt. I get that self-doubt all the time. Am I good enough? You know, is my work good enough? But, you know, I kind of lost that fearless competitiveness because I always had people trying to hate, tear me down. And then it's even worse when, you know, you get out there and the convention scene starts to die. I'm not gonna lie, it was like, the height of the convention scene was between 2011 to probably 2015. After that, the comic book convention scene slowly was dying. It was the popularity of it, you know, the height of the MCU movies was getting a lot of normies and families into comic book fandom. It was cool to be a geek. You know, parents were bringing their kids to comic book conventions. You know, there were people just had money, people were spending money. And then like 2015 happened, and, you know, there were so many people, so many of these wannabe hustlers trying to profit off the geek wave that they were able to rent out halls and do their own conventions. I remember 1 month we had over like 30 conventions in California. In a month, 30 conventions. I remember we had, I think, 13 conventions on one day. It was like the market just stretched itself so thin because you had anime and comic book conventions like every weekend. It was nuts. It was like conventions were competing with each other on the same weekend. And those were the good old days, but I knew it wasn't sustainable. And then like organizers were raising the price of the tables for vendors and artists. It was like price of it, like my first year, I guess Stockton Con here, a table was like $55. And then for a table, and this was for like 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. 2 days was like $55. And then, what was it? I think it was 2019? Yeah, 2019. The table was like $140. But, you know, since we were legacy artists, you know, we've been going every year, he took $20 off. Like, and I would have to say that is the first Stockton Con where, oh my God, it was the most pathetic. I think we made table in probably $14. Yeah, we only made $14 in profit. We covered the table and we made $14 in profit. It's like, do you know how sad that is? That is sad. But I kept on warning the organizer. I said, Mike, I said, you are going to price your local artists out of this convention. You're going to price us out, man. You're going to price us out. 140 for 2 days is too much. That's too much. It's like, don't get me wrong, I would say like first 2012, I think we tripled the table. 2013, I think we doubled it. We went over, doubled the table. 2014, we tripled the table. We had like over 60,000 people show up. Like that year, I think I quadrupled as far as how much money I made because of commissions. And yeah, 2014 Stockton Con was ridiculous. What was it? 2015 was meh. 2016 was meh. 2017 was meh. 2018 is like, okay, wait a minute, we're paying like, 120 for the table, and it was like, okay, we made table, and we probably made like $50, $60, $70 in profit, and then it got reduced to like 14 in profit for Stockton Con, and it was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. It's like, it's not Mike's fault because the number of people showing up dropped. It dropped a lot. So it's like, man, it is what it is. The people coming to conventions dropped a lot. And I can see as a businessman, he got to make his bottom line. He got to pay for the venue. The cost of the venue got to go up. The cost of him bringing in guests has gone up. But he hasn't really turned the cost over to the guests. The guests are paying maybe, I think, what's $15 now for 2 days, 15, 20, depending where you buy the ticket. If you get them like early or get them at the door. If you get them early, I think it's 15. If you buy them at the door, I think it's 20. And it's like, it's just, it is what it is. It's the nature of the business. It's the nature of the beast. But as far as going, my thoughts on just, the art game in general, what I've been through. This is just the cliff notes of it. I got so many different stories of how shit have gone sideways and, my experiences going within it. But I think what triggered this was just watching comics with perch videos talking about, getting comics is easier. Why are people so unhappy? If you're talking to artists, there's a reason to be unhappy. There's a reason why there's quite a few that just don't do it. You go to a con, yeah, you'll see like a few artists selling their own comic or whatever, but nobody's buying it, and that's the sad thing. It's like you'll see this guy who put his blood, sweat, and tears trying to sell his comic, and nobody's going out picking it up. And it's like, granted, you gotta sell it. You gotta stand up. You gotta sell it like it's the best thing since Wonder Bread. But if nobody's going by the table to even flip through it, it's just depressing. I'm not gonna lie. It's just depressing if you can't get nobody to just come by the table to flip through it. And it's like, that's half the reason why I don't do comics. If I'm doing comics, I'm probably doing something so naughty that I probably can't sell it publicly. And if I do, it's going to be, behind the booth or under the table. But I don't know. I think I might do an art book or doujinshi before I do comic. I'll probably do an art book with like, simple comic strips in it, and then just do a full-on comic book. I think that's how I started off as. Half the book will be pinups, and then the other half will just be, oh, Leifang wants to join my team? Leifang. It's funny because I guess I could buy her as DLC for this version of the game, but she's just already playable and unlocked if you get Scarlet. Well, then again, Lei Feng's her BFF in the fighting games. They kind of had a rocky start because Lei Feng was kind of hating on Hitomi because Hitomi would always buy up all the cabbages that Lei Feng would buy. Or Hitomi would buy. They just have a thing for cabbages, I guess. Alright, so pool hopping game, and I gotta do it alone in 50 seconds. Okay, that's the wrong one. Can't go there. Where's the other pool side? Tranquil Beach. Okay, I gotta go to the pool. And I gotta do it under 30 seconds. Gotcha. Gotcha. I wonder if I have to do the colors, or could I just or the cheat? I'm gonna fuck the colors. I don't care about the colors. I just want to get it over in 30 seconds. There we go. Don't care about the monies. Yeah, give me them Zach dollars. Watch a girl playing an activity in the owner's mode. Okay, switch to owner's mode. Playing an activity? Take a photo of tug of war. Oops, sorry guys, let me give you my controls. Zoom in, zoom out, cameras forward, backwards, hold camera, la 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 la. Sure, why not? Oh, she's holding her top. OMG. Top's falling off there. Picture of her top falling off. Eesh. It's tied up. I didn't take the picture. I missed my chance. But yeah, man, the thing about Perch, you know, he really tends to look things on the positive side, saying anybody can do it, go out there and do it. He's all about the kumbaya side of comics, the happiness, the joy of making comics, and I think he's putting out a comic, and you know, that's well and good. I'm not gonna hate on him for doing that. You know, he do what he do, and it is what it is. And nothing against people going out there doing what they want, following their dreams. My only thing is be real about it. That's the only thing I want from people, is to be real about what they do. be real about their intentions and basically, you know, not bullshit people about shit. That's my only issue. We got so many bullshitters. Ugh, so many bullshitters. It was like, be real about your hustle too. Be real about it. Be real about your hustle. What does it say? Oh crap. Yeah, get that ice cream, girl. There you go. There's a picture. Could make that my thumbnail. I need to start taking, whoa, hello. She gonna stand up? Yep. Face the camera, girl. She is tearing that ice cream up. There you go. Air out your privates. Oh, play blackjack one time in girl mode. Okay. Alright, let's play some volleyball, y'all. Yeah, Perch. He was talking about everybody should do comics, be happy. And it's like, that's easy for you to say. Are you drawing your own comic? That's what I want to know. Are you drawing your own comic? It's like, you know, Perch, you know, he probably already is a made man. He got the money, so he can treat it like a hobby, to just do something just to do it. You know, if you want to do comics just to do comics, then do so. I have no hate against it. But I'm going to be real about it. If you're putting it out there, if you're putting it out there to make money, if you plan on saying it, then you are open to just as much criticism as anybody else. That's just how it goes. Your intentions don't matter. It's the product you put out that matters, because if you put a price tag on it, then that means you're putting value on it. You're trying to get people to spend money on it. It becomes a business. It's like, nah, you ain't bullshitting that, bro. It's like, if you want to do comics, don't put a price on it. Do that shit for free. Post it online. Better yet, put it on Patreon. You know? You know, put it behind a $1 paywall or something. You know, put it up for free if you just want to draw comics, just to draw comics. But if you plan on making money, then be prepared to compete. That's all to it. Be prepared to compete. It's like, otherwise, it's like, don't try to cover up your shortcomings or your bullshit or whatever behind, oh, I'm just doing it for the love and the passion. It's like, well, once you put a price tag on it, that goes out the window. I'm sorry. It's like, now if you're putting it out there, you put a price on it just to cover the costs of doing it, you know, that's fine. And if you don't care about it being successful, if you don't care about sales, then you know, that's fine as well. I said, but I'm sorry, if you paid all that money to put that shit out, you wanna at least a return on your investment. That's just common sense. That's common sense. You want a return on that investment. It's the American dream to take nothing and turn it into something. You know, and comics is no different. You know, getting into the industry is no different. You know, you can't bullshit it like that. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let people bullshit it like that. Either, you know, do it right. Do it right. It's like, I'm not saying, you know, once you get in there, you know, make mistakes and fail. I'm not saying that. That's gonna happen. I said, but your intentions when you first jump from the gate should be to do it right. Because the intention is not to fail. It's not. You don't go into anything to fail at it. It's like, it's fine to expect to fail, but don't accept it. Don't accept it. You know, don't just accept failure from out the gate. You know, come into something, you know, if you're passionate, you love it, you want to do right by it. You know, you can't just go in and be like, I'm going to do comics. Okay, I got this stupid idea. I got this little squirrel, this little elf. doing random adventures and shit, and I want to publish it and put it out. And it's like, okay, do you plan on making money doing this? No, man, you know, it'd just be cool to put out my own comic. Okay, that's nice. You plan on putting a price tag on it? Are you willing to cover the cost of this comic? Now, as soon as you bring that shit up, you know, with regular people, if they're truly about it, they will pay out of pocket to get this shit done. If they truly want to get their shit out even for shits and giggles, you can put out comics even out of your own pocket relatively on the street. You can do an ash can version and just get a really good photocopy machine and print your own shit. I've seen people do it. I even bought comics from people that do it. So don't give me that shit that you can't. But no, the modern day hustler, the modern day, you know, comic creator, they'll be like, nah, dude, I'm just gonna put it up on Kickstarter. And it's like, wait, what? Do you even have an audience? Do you even have a fan base who will give you money to cover that? I was like, okay, how much are you asking for to get this book done? $5,000. Wait a minute. You're asking for $5,000 to get... How many copies do you plan on printing? He's like, no, I'm just using it as my baseline. I wish to reach my goal of 5,000. I said, you know you have to make that money. You know you have to get that amount of money in order to get it on Kickstarter, right? You have to reach that goal. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, you have to reach that goal. Or I said, you can go on FundMe, and whatever the end result is, you'll get that money. I said, but if you go on Kickstarter, you know, you got to reach that goal. If you don't reach that goal, you don't get that money. He was like, oh shit, didn't know that. So yeah, you got so many knuckleheads saying I could just go on, you know, Kickstarter or whatever, GoFundMe, and just raise the money. And I'm like, have you drawn a comic before? Do you have a group of supporters and followers that number in the thousands? I said, because it's going to be at least only 10% of that thousand is going to support you. If you get 100 support you to get, you know, $500 on your book, well, invest $5 per person on your book, then, you know, you might be able to, you know, bring in $500 on the Kickstarter of your goal of 5,000. I was like, yeah, man, you gotta have an audience, and you gotta set your standards low from the beginning. It's like I seen people who slowly built it up. But, you know, I also seen people do Kickstarters, but they're, you know, they're still in the chump change range as far as profit. You know, they're still in the extra spending money, you know, profit margin on Kickstarters. You know, they're not pulling in fucking Richard C. Meyer or, you know, Evan Skyver money as far as Kickstarters, where it's like, dude, I made over 200 grand or 250 grand, you know, on my Kickstarter. You know, they're not, you know, most of the people I know, they're not pulling in that type of money. I had one dude I know, I think he pulled in like 15 grand, and he's not even, his comic is not really a series at this point. I think it's what, up to issue number 2, 3 or something like that. I think the last Kickstarter he did, it was like, I think he made like 15 grand. And I'm like, for a person who like basically a no name who doesn't have his comic book in stores, you know, that's very impressive. That's really good. I mean, that's $15,000. I said, there's pros in the industry who don't even sell, like, probably don't make that money off their comic, you know, make that much, you know, in hand in terms of how much they're getting paid. Not like, you know, you'll get some who sold that many comics, but is that the direct sales is not going directly into their pocket. So, but I think out of all that money he probably made, he probably only pocketed, maybe if he's lucky, maybe 4 or 5 grand, which is a pretty good profit margin, you know, after you deal with the shipping and paying for some of the goals and the printing and stuff like that. Because I know people, they be adding the shipping cost to the comic cost. Like you got the printing cost, and then you got the shipping cost. So you'll see some Kickstarters where it's like, okay, for this comic you're paying like $20. Wait, I'm only paying $20 for a 24-page comic book? Are you fucking stupid? It's like, well, when you factor in, you know, they do the cost of printing, and then the cost of the shipping to ship it to you, it's like, yeah, the cost can get pretty ridiculous. No. But it's like, I'm like, nah, that's too ridiculous. That's why you're hoping you get a lot of people, get the other, you know, then you have the other Kickstarters where you offer a mug, a t-shirt, you know, charge them like $19, $20 for those, or $30, and then I don't know. It's weird how it works, and I've seen people how they finagle it and stuff like that. Oh shit! Double down. Oh no, I busted. Fuck. Just like that. Lost all that money. Okay. Hit me. It's been a while since I played blackjack because you're playing against the table. I used to be pretty decent at blackjack. Oh yeah, I got blackjack. Well shit, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, of course I won. Shit. Did the table win? I lost anyway. Busted myself. That's why I didn't go to Vegas this past weekend. Ugh. Hit. Had to try. Otherwise I was gonna lose anyway. Oh, I'm getting a little bit too much money. Oh my god, OMG. Oh my god, I keep getting these jacks and kings. My luck is horrible right now. So we're gonna win it? Yeah, so we won it. But yeah, man, it's like, I think that's my biggest issues with people just doing their shit on Kickstarter. They're not really trying to make a business per se. They're trying to really profit off their already established fan base by selling directly to them, which is a good idea. I can see why people do it. I can see why they do it. I can't be too mad at it. It's just, you know, my old-fashioned way of thinking. I was like, okay, you used to start your business, you build your business. Oops, sorry, my mic. It's like your business is what it is, using those initial funds, and then you have to sell the product in order to sustain the business. That's how it should be done. But no, they flip the script. These people flip the script. Like I said, that's what Americans do. That's what we do. We flip the script. We'll find any kind of loophole to make things easier, to make things a win, no matter what. Oh, she got 20. We're gonna lose. Yep. Two. Hey, I won. Give me my money. Alright, I'm out of here. Leaving this table. Screw that table. But yeah, it's it is what it is. But I just want to let you guys know, whoever watched this channel, that I'm back on the grind. Decided to play some little Dead or Alive Extreme 3 beach volleyball. Oh yeah, that brings me to another topic. I let my buddy borrow this game. Had it for like 2 months. And then I asked him if I could have it back. And I guess he forgot until I had to bug him. And I was like, hey, you know, could you bring back my Extreme Beach Volleyball? So he did bring it back. And then he said, oh, I was playing this. And I said, then he mentioned that he also got it for the Switch. He got the Scarlet one for the Switch. And I was like, wait a minute, when did you buy that? He's like, I probably bought it like a month ago. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Why are you holding my game hostage when you already bought the other game? He was like, the one of the Switch is alright, it's just not as pretty as the PS4 version. And you told me that the vanilla version is different. You know, they have different stuff. And it was like, yeah, the vanilla version has the wardrobe malfunction swimsuits. It has the lotions and the oils and the milk to, you know, make the boobs more softer, make them slightly bigger. Same thing, you can put it on the girls' butts to make their butts softer, bigger, or jiggle more. And yeah, they took all that out in the Scarlet version. The only thing the Scarlet version has is like 2 new characters. But it's one of the few games that was like a lot of importers were easy for people to get on the Switch. No, actually, I think the Switch version is uncut. Yeah, the Switch version wasn't censored. It was the PS4 version that was censored. So yeah, the PS4 version had all the extra lotions and other stuff picked out, but the Switch version, no, it had all that shit in it. So yeah, so that's right. Yeah. So the Switch version definitely sold more than the PS4 version. But yeah, that's the whole thing with the art game. My issues with it, the drama I had to go through with it, the pitfalls of it. It's not easy, it's not fair, but life isn't fair in general. You know, I grasped that concept, I think the last 3 years, where it's just, I'm gonna always get the short end of the stick, you know, but I have to take whatever success that come my way, you know, enjoy it to the fullest. That's how I'm just going to treat my life from now on, is like whatever success I get, you know, whatever minor success, I'm just going to celebrate it to the fullest. And I know some people don't like it because they think I'm bragging. Trust me, there are people who thought I was just feeling myself early on. That's why I had so many haters. And this charger's no longer working. That's not no bueno. Where's my PS4 charging cable? Time to bust out old reliable. Thinking almost might be time to get myself another PS4 controller, because this one's been through some battles. It works, it's fine, but I think the whole charging part of it. Oops, sorry folks, I kept on logging out, talking to myself, logged out the screen. But yeah, I think my PS4 PS4 controllers on yeah, PS4 controller, as far as the whole charging aspect of it, is on live support right now. So I might have to get another controller or just a backup. I've been needing an extra PS4 controller anyway. Okay, so this charging cable just don't work no more. There was a piece that broke off of it earlier. So now it's not working. I'm gonna unplug it, plug it back in. Nope, no longer works. Oh well. But yeah, with that being said, I am going to check out what's in this box. An umbrella. Yay. At least she knows. I know she's indifferent towards it. And with that, I'm going to call it a night on this salty artist rant in DOAX Extreme 3 Let's Play. For those who watched it, thanks for stopping by and watching. For those who will watch it later, thanks for watching. Stay safe and God bless.